This meeting is being recorded.
Hey Tim, how are you?
Well, how we doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I am great as well. I'm going to pause the recording. All right. I see people popping in the room. I see the recording started. I see Michael, our guest of honor. It is time and it is Tuesday. Hey, you've heard of Taco Tuesday. Well, what about Speaker Tech Tuesday? Certainly can't get if you can't get enough Tim David throughout the week. Let's do it. Let's do some Speaker Tech Tuesday. Now, again, very very excited to have all of you. I see a bunch of people in the room. I see a bunch of people in the waiting room, and we'll continue to let people in as we go. I see Jerry and Evelyn and Pierre and Jim and Steve and Chris and Dee Dee and TJ. The initial crew, of course, and Sandy and Joe and JK and Ed and Shell in the room. There's a name I recognize as well. And we're here to talk tech. We're here to talk speaker tech specifically because I'm going to share with you, I think, a very, very common journey of speakers and their relationship to technology. And then we're going to, talk a little bit about what might be able to be done differently. Hey, Jerry, good to have you coming on camera as well. And I see Carol in the waiting room and Kevin. I'm going to just keep letting them in. We're going to keep letting them in. It's 101, but we're lenient here. We'll keep driving. We'll keep driving. So number one, what I usually see when it comes to technology, and this is true for all small businesses, not just speakers, but I think speakers are particularly susceptible because we often tend to be creative types. We like to perform, and technology and creative types don't always go together like peanut butters and bananas. So we're here to talk about it. We're here to talk about some options for you. So the pattern is typically like, all right, we start our business. And then we run into some kind of brick wall. There is some kind of thing that we know we need to do, and we need a tool to do that thing, at least in a way that's not Stone Age, right? At least there's some sort of efficiency to it. And we run into a tech brick wall, and then we have to either learn a tool, which, by the way, requires a lot of research to figure out which tool we're going to learn. And then we got to maybe make an investment, even if there's a free trial, there's an investment of time to learn the tool. And then you find out that there's, this other better, shinier, cooler, smarter, faster tool. And then you got to migrate everything over. And so it becomes this dance between like, okay, I know I need this tool, but I'm going to see if I can get away with maybe the least expensive version.
Right.
Because here's why. Here's why. A lot of speakers are like, I don't have a lot of gigs yet. I'm just starting the speaking business. I'm just starting whatever business. We don't have a lot of income to generate any outflow with. So at the end of the day, again, we try to be as judicious as possible, but we're speakers. We're not tech experts. So I see oftentimes people trying to Frankenstein their speaking business together with all kinds of different tools and tips and technologies. And then again, maybe even cutting some corners along the way and, paying in one way or another, right? We're paying either now or we're paying later. And I don't know, I'm just telling you my story, I guess. This is kind of how it happened for me. And, I remember way back in the day, I've been doing this a long time. So I remember Skype. I remember, GoToMeeting. I remember a lot of these early softwares and tools. And, finally, the tech gods prevailed and they started, putting some of these things together. So then I jumped on like Infusionsoft and Kajabi and, all these multi-tools. And I don't know if anybody can relate to this journey of just trying to figure out the tech stuff and get your tech house in order. It's almost a little bit like trying to get your finances in order some days, where it feels like as all
It really is.
I do see some nodding. I do see TJ's thumbs up as well. And yeah, let's just quickly dive into a little bit of housekeeping before we introduce our guest, who's going to talk through again some of the tools and the tech stack that are required for speakers. But yeah, real simple. We operate in a pretty casual, pretty low key way here at Speaker Tech Tuesday. If you have a question, chat's always open. We do ask, and I think everybody comes in on mute as well. So if there is time for Q&A, we'll be able to either unmute your microphone, raise a hand. On the off chance I'm looking at your screen, I'll be able to get the question. But just do me a favor and maybe pop in the chat that you have a question if you have a question. And either myself or Michael will have our eyes in the chat at all times. Now, if somebody could just do me a quick favor, I don't see any chats yet. Just somebody type hi in the chat. I want to make sure that I have access to it, that you all have access to it. Bill says, yo, love it. And I said, yo, I was recording a video for a client yesterday and yo slipped out. And it's like, well, we'll keep it. Thanks, Evelyn. Thanks, Teresa. Looks like it is working. So cool. We have the recording going, and it is time to get to the meat of it. I'm not somebody who likes a lot of fluff and filler and pomp and or circumstance. So let's just get right to the meat of the issue. We're here to talk about tech. We're here to talk about the tools that we're going to need, and we're here to talk about some of the options. So I'm going to introduce Michael. Michael is a tech founder, right? So super familiar with the land of tech. Michael is a speaker, super familiar with our world, and Michael is a colleague of mine and have worked tirelessly and closely together on several projects, and trust his tech insights implicitly, and am super excited and happy to turn the microphone and the camera over to Michael Johnson.
Thanks
Michael.
so much. Appreciate that, Tim. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And tech is always scary, as Tim said. And for the few people that are super techie out there, I hope this is still valuable for you. I believe it will be. For the rest of us on the planet that are trying to keep up with the tech, this will be super helpful for you. What we're not going to do a lot of today specifically, but we will in the future, is we're not going to dig into the depths of any one piece of the tech. So I just want to set your expectations properly and let you know that we're not going to dive into how do we do the padding on a funnel, and we're not going to work on that today. But today is a bit more of an overview. I know some of you are already on board and using the tech that we have for you, and that's cool. For some of you that are not, this might inspire you to do so. Either way is cool, but I hope at the very least you will get some better perspective on what can accidentally creep up on you. And the thing I loved about what Tim said earlier was sometimes you end up with a Frankenstein in your business. And I see speakers do this a lot, especially speakers, because they're like, this is just for my speaking. I'm not really. And then next thing you know, you're down the line and you're in this spider web of tools, and you're using this and you're using that, and you've kind of tried to Frankenstein it all together, and it will come alive. Because it is possible. There's a lot of cool tools. It will come alive.
And
But
Michael,
walk around like
it will come and it'll get you. And it was complicated in the 90s.
yeah.
Now what are we dealing with? Right now we got all this AI stuff, and we got all these different
Oh my gosh.
you mentioned padding, and I don't even know what that is, but yeah, so much more complexity now.
Right.
So I've just again been super grateful for your beacon right through the clutter to be able to get my tech house in order over here. So let's continue the show.
The key is here.
All right. I just muted Mike by accident. My bad, Michael. I tried to mute the other people. I muted you.
That's funny. Well, that's going to be a short meeting. Speaking of a short meeting, I won't keep you guys here super long today. This is the setup. We'll be talking tech more frequently in the future, and we'll keep doing this over and over again. So we'll be able to dive deep into different tech subjects. So this is going to be more of an overview today, and I would like to keep it towards that. I'm happy to answer your questions once we get through sort of the bulk of it, but planned it to be super short because at any given time, taking too much tech in at once can really boggle your mind, and it can be a little overwhelming. So we'll try to keep it very brief and straightforward. What I want to let you know is we just ahead of time, we use a software, and we have a software called Choreo Suite, and it's because we are past ballroom dancers, and so that usually makes everybody go, wait, what? And that's the thing. I was a former professional ballroom dancer, and the concept and principles of choreography stuck with me. So when I left and retired from the ballroom dancing and the dance world, I brought the concepts and principles of choreography. I really quickly realized the more I delved into business and started doing business investing and bringing on multiple companies, I was at a certain point where I had about 22 companies, and they were all using a different tech stack. Now, I just want you to think for just a second how crazy your own tech stack can be And then imagine having 22 companies using different tech in all of them. So I had to kind of find a way to get them all on the same page. So I invested in this software and brought it into our fold. And as I did, then I got everybody speaking the same language. I got them all in the same tech stack. And what I figured out when we calculated it, we were saving about $1,200 to $1,500 a month per company. Now you multiply that times 22, and that was a lot of money. And so really it was a selfish thing. And then some of my mentors came back and were advising me, and they said, "Hey, you should share that with other people." And I was like, okay, that's a good idea. I was using it for my own companies. Now I'm down to about 7 or 8 companies. I got rid of some, so 22 was a little crazy for me. It was a wild time. But now I also help people like you guys be able to get their tech stack in order and get it manageable and get it to the point where I don't have to hear this horrible statement. Well, I have to call my webmaster and get them to change the headline or the paragraph. And I'm like, no, please. Oh, for goodness sakes. No, please don't call your webmaster. It's not even really a thing anymore. So stop it. And really, as a regular human, even if you're not techie, you should be able to go onto your website on a funnel page. You should be able to go into your social media and change a thing in a few minutes and it not be that big a deal. And that's why we have this and why we're sharing it with you. So first thing I wanted to start off with is just some things that I know you need. Being a speaker as well, just like you guys, I know you need, as a speaker, you're going to need a website. You might want a course because all of you are probably experts at a subject topic. Now, that might not be the first thing on your list. So these are just things that I know along the way speakers keep talking to me about. They keep saying, well, I want to build a course off of this thing. I've had it in regular format. I'd like it digital. Okay, cool. You might need a course. You might need a lead magnet. When I say might, I really mean you do. So lead magnets are kind of important. If you're speaking on stage and people are listening to you, you might want to be able to say, hey, here's a QR code. Go get my lead magnet so that you can get them on your list. Why? Because your list is probably one of the most, if not the most important thing you can build is your list. If you don't have a list, you don't have anything. One of my old mentors said, well, I got a divorce. My wife took everything. I just wanted to keep the list. So she got everything. He got the list. And then he was well off very shortly after because he could send a bill to the herd. And that's the thing. He's like, I needed a new swimming pool. So what did I do? I sent the bill to the herd by doing a new offer, by letting them know what I was up to. So lead magnets are important. Speaking of lead magnets, how do you send them? You need email marketing. You might need social media management. All of these are different tools, right? You might need automations. That's actually a newer thing in the last 5 years or so. People have been automating things for years, but you needed a programmer to do it. Now, even Joe Schmo that knows nothing about tech, you can automate everything. If you can do it 2 or 3 times the same way, you could probably automate it, and Choreo Suite can help you to automate it. And man, it is lovely once you build it. Even if it took you, just imagine this, if it took you 5 hours to build the automation and you're thinking, gosh, that's so long, but you never had to touch it again. Oh, be still my heart.
I'm going to jump in, Michael, because I heard something extremely powerful. If you're not taking notes, this is something to take a note about. Because what are we here to do? The name of my company is Get Speaking Gigs, right? We want technology to help you get speaking gigs at the end of the day. So the mentioning of an email list and lead magnets and all of these things. Just imagine for a moment, I'm in a situation where if people ask me like, Tim, how do you book speaking gigs and how do you get $10,000 plus for a speaking fee, and how do you get these gigs where corporations are hiring you and signing you on for contracts for extended work? And the answer is number one, I check my email, right, for incoming leads, and number two, that's pretty much it at this point, right? And the incoming leads come from my email list. I've got 12,000 people on an email list who've seen me speak. They know me, they like me, they trust me. And this has been, whittled down to a place where these are engaged, right? These are engaged prospects, no, leads, no, I don't know, friends, a tribe, a community that are all wanting to learn about my topic and learn about it from me. Look, if I want to do another book, I can push a button. I know I'm going to have at least 1,000, 2,000 book sales on day one before I even write the book. I'm going to have a community of people who are willing to invest in that. So the behind the speech itself and the ability to speak, an email list and an audience to speak to. So many people are focused on social media and Instagram and Facey Spaces and MyTubes and all these different things. And really, I would trade a 1 million follower account on Instagram. I would trade that for 10,000 people on an email list. Like, hands down, no questions asked. The level of engagement between email and social media off the chart. So we're starting to build, and we're starting to, and again, those note takers, what is it that we need? Well, if we need an email list, we need people on that email list. How are we going to get that? Well, we need to promise people something. We can't just say join my email newsletter anymore. For the love of God, don't do a newsletter. An e-zine, my goodness. So again, we've got to give people reasons to engage with us. So these are just pieces of the puzzle, and mentioning again, the just highlighting rather the importance of something like an email list. And then, where's the lead magnet going to go? Maybe there's a website involved. And I love what you said too about needing someone else to make changes on the way how quickly business is moving. You should be able to get in there and update
Absolutely.
your own dang website. Don't pay people for that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me get in and show you just a few things in regards to what we were just talking about. And I'm just going to share this briefly. So if we go in and we think about all those things that you're going to need as a speaker, and again, this isn't meant to overwhelm you, but it's just to show you, like, there's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of software, and we've tried to do something a little bit better. But if you were going to do courses like we mentioned earlier, there are so many: Teachable, Thinkific, Kajabi, Moodle, and most of them are at about $159 a month. So if you're thinking like, hey, I'd like to do a course, right? So a lot of these are they're all over the place, right? But there's a lot of tools, and they're mighty high price. And then you go, okay, what about a community? I want to build a community. Tim was talking about that. Well, if you want to build your own community, go to Mighty Networks. Some of you are even part of that. Boros, Hive, Zendesk. I mean, there's a ton, right? And most of those are averaging. These are kind of the average of this. Some of these are higher, some of these are lower. You're at about $179 a month. If you look at websites, okay, well, now you get all over the place. There's websites everywhere. You can get a website at Wix, you can get it at WordPress, Squarespace, Adobe, Weebly, all over, even at GoDaddy where you buy it. Most of them aren't very functional, and they're certainly not very user friendly. You go into WordPress and, oh my goodness, you're going to need years worth of training to get good at WordPress, and or somebody that you have on tap that can handle and take care of your WordPress for you. Now, I put the cheapest one on here, $29 a month, but I promise you, you use the cheapest version of one of these softwares at $29 a month, you are not going to be happy, and you are not going to want to use it for very long. I've had friends come to me, just my own personal friend circle, come to me and say, well, I was on Wix. And I'm like, ooh, I'm sorry. They tout a big game and, oh, it's so pretty and so this, and yet on the back end, it's, man, they'll get you. All right. So what else you need? You need something like calendars, right?
You say they'll
Minimum.
get you, Michael. What do you mean by they'll get you? Because there's been a few bad experiences we've had with Wix. By we, I mean me. So
Yeah.
curious, when you say they'll get you, is it like extra fees, or is it just?
Well, yeah, it's add-ons. You got to add on this to do this, and you're like, oh, I want to make this look like this, and they're like, well, that's an add-on, and you're like, I want to attach my or I want to mess with my DNS records. They're like, no, sorry, we control those. You can't touch your DNS records. So what they make you do is they move and transfer your URL from wherever you purchased it into Wix, and then you can't touch the DNS records for anything. So if you want to improve your records, if you want to send email from your domain, you have to send email through them. And so it starts to just add up, and they nickel and dime you in 20 different ways, but you're like, but I started at $29 a month. And you're like, yeah, but now you might have this partially Frankenstein again.
Yeah, and that was the big one for us, was that, not really truly owning like the domain and not having control
Right.
over
Right.
your domain name. Like that is,
It's crazy.
your address where it's where you know you can fix everything else. But yeah, I mean, I guess you can transfer domains away. But anyway, I don't want to interrupt too much. I know we got a limited amount of time, so I want to make sure you have what you need to talk through these tech stacks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you're right, Michael. It's not 100% true about Wix. You know, there's some great things about it. So I don't mean to knock them directly in terms of their builder or what they can do. It is a great starter place to go. But you do have limited access to the DNS records for sure. Um, they're like my nemesis when I have to deal with DNS records from Wix. Um, if you're going to use a calendar, you might need Calendly, Digical, you might need ClickUp, Asana, something like that to run your calendar. Minimum for the basic version of any of these calendars, you're going to be at like $29 a month, right? So it adds up real quick, but most of the time you want to like go to that middle plan or the high plan. And that's a challenge, right? Because you're like really quickly we'll get through whatever their minimum version of their calendaring use. Now, when I say calendars, what I mean is your ability to book and give your link out and get a calendar or an appointment booked and connect it to Zoom and have it so that it does all of that behind the scenes, but you can just send out a calendar link. And that's necessary.
I mean, I'll jump on that real quick too. If you, I can't imagine somebody maybe on this call who isn't familiar with like a Calendly, but yeah, we're not talking about like your calendar and your schedule. We're talking about the ease with which it is to book you and book time into your calendar.
For sure.
And so when, you know, obviously in the Get Speaking Gigs world, we talk a lot about in our what we call our inquiry to income process. If somebody shoots you a message and says, "Hey, I'd like to hear a little bit more about what you do," you know, there's going to be a point when you got to jump on a call and do a discovery call and ask them some questions and diagnose before you can prescribe. And booking through the old-fashioned, you know, hey, how are these times? Is this good? And then the back and forth again, especially if you're in the corporate space, the ease and the efficiency of a calendar has been, you got to have it.
For sure. And Shell, it's interesting that you say that. Yeah, WordPress is lumped in there because it does have a lot of functionality. WordPress is actually, I would consider that way more technical on the technical end. So it's cool that you know how to use it, but for a lot of people, WordPress is pretty challenging for them. At least the people that I talk to, they get in and WordPress is heavy. Right? You need, not only do you need the WordPress, but you need plugins and you need to get all these extra things that you can do to put in it to make it kind of piece together what you want it to do. But it is a very cool process. And so I'm not dogging on WordPress. All of these are great pieces, right? So next, you might need some marketing stuff as a speaker. So you could use ClickFunnels, HubSpot, MailChimp, Fresh Sales, Constant Contact. Maybe you've even used some of these. And so for some of you, you can say, oh yeah, these are familiar. Like I've used some of these and a lot of you might know about it, right? And like ClickFunnels is kind of in the middle there. They're $297 a month, right? Pretty standard pricing. HubSpot's up there as well. Some of these like Constant Contact will charge you per contact that you have. So if you have a big list, oh my goodness, Active Campaign. Yeah, I didn't get Active Campaign on here. Yeah, absolutely, Teresa. Another thing you probably need is automations. Now, this is where it gets tricky, right? Is that there's lots of things that do automations, but this is where getting your things to automate, if they're not part of the same system, and this is what we found, was that you start bouncing around all these different types of software that you need to create automations, and it gets hefty, right? Trying to connect them together, trying to stitch all of these pieces together. And you know, they do their best to try to keep you from getting too overwhelmed. But when you have a bunch of different systems, it gets challenging, right? But a lot of the automation software, again, I took the mid-range, about 169 a month.
What about something like a Zapier? Would that fit into that, or
yeah, Zapier? I should put that one on that slide.
That's what I think a lot of people are familiar with, and the idea of automation might be new for a lot of speakers, but you know, man, oh man, efficiency,
such a big deal,
is such,
especially these days.
Yeah, and so you know, especially these days now, especially in the speaking industry now, with lead time shrinking, things happening faster, right? So the more efficient and easier to
Sure.
work with that you can be, and have a seamless flow. But yeah, really what you're talking about is, again, having the tools talk to one another, so that when somebody fills out your
Right.
website form, they get put on your email list, and then they get sent the email thing, and then so having the tools talk to one another is
All of it cohesive, right, in one place.
we haven't even talked about like CRMs, which is what I think speakers start with, and on and on. So I'll let you continue.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned CRMs because that's the next slide. and I put it under sales, but basically if you're doing any kind of sales in your business, which if you're not, then you're probably not selling anything, which means you're probably not making any money anywhere. So CRMs are important. And I think a lot of small businesses realize that too late, that, oh, darn, I need a CRM. So you might need like Zoho CRM. You've got things like Active Campaign that kind of act like it. You go really, really high end in the thousands, and you're looking at Salesforce, SAP, right? Those are like corporate level CRM, HubSpot, right? So there's a lot of, oh yeah, CRM, sorry, customer relationship manager. That's
I got to jump in too. I'm sorry, man, but this one was the bugaboo of my existence. Man, I can't tell you how many things fell through the cracks, especially as
so
I grew.
easy.
And
Yeah,
sometimes you grow. I had situations where I was on, the Today Show, or I was in the New York Times, or I had Penguin Random House publish my book, or my TEDx talk dropped. And there were these moments when or even I would do a gig like for Zoom, and there would be 4,000 people there, and we would just get just crushed with leads and inquiries, and being able to manage and make sure things don't fall through the cracks. What about all of those times when people say, not interested now, get back to me in October? And then do you in October? Do you? So
only if you're lucky.
I know, right? Consistency is what so many speakers crave when it comes to the gigs that they get. And
Right.
yet, the challenge with being consistent with any kind of, not even outreach, just client relationship management, just the nurture, just the staying in front of. And again, whether it's an email that you do weekly, or whether it's, I had a professional speaker. This guy's doing $1.4 million. And he says, I sometimes feel like I'm a professional emailer, right? Because all I'm doing is just contacting people, managing relationships, and without having tools to know who you emailed, especially if you have a team. I put in the chat, if anybody had a team, let us know if you have a team. And, just out of curiosity, because, man, you add in that level of complexity. Whew, yeah. So CRMs, my goodness. If you're taking notes and what you add it in, that's definitely
Yeah,
something.
it's huge. And I didn't realize I needed it in my early days at all. It was just sort of ad hoc or a spreadsheet or something. And then once you have it, you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I didn't realize. And being able to keep track of your conversations, just having a total transparency of every conversation, every chat you've had with them, every email that's gone to them, knowing what payments they've paid, what they need paid, what their invoices are, what documents you have sent or haven't sent. I mean, like all of that in one place. It's
Yeah,
and
and I'm a human connection speaker, right? So you can imagine if somebody reaches out, I can instantly be like, "Oh, how's Jerry? Your son, and how's this going?" So I can immediately have everything at my
right.
A lot of you again have heard of this stuff before, but having tech to manage and integrate with the human connection that we want to create, sometimes
Right.
tech can be sort of an invisible assistant to help you
It's huge. CRMs are a game changer, and really, I'm not doing it justice by putting it at 99. I mean, if you found a CRM for $99, it's probably going to be pretty not good. Let's just face it. It's at that price point, it's just not going to do what you need it to do. And then last, this I just threw in because chatbots are kind of the new trendy fun thing. ManyChat, Fresh Chat, all of these different chat bot things. I mean, you've probably seen 100 commercials on your socials about get our AI chatbot. Everybody wants a chatbot to talk to their potential leads that are coming to their sites or whatever. And at minimum, you're going to pay about $15 a month minimum, and that's for like, and they all price it different. Sometimes it's per lead, per chat, per whatever. But it is crazy how quick that adds up. And then what they do is they get you in at a smaller price, and then they bump the price. It's like, oh, well, you have this many chats, we're going to charge you this much. Or you have this many clients or this many things coming, or you're going to use this much, then we're going to charge you this much. So
Well,
it
I mean,
gets
there is
out of
sometimes
hand
there is
quick.
some just to play devil's advocate. I think sometimes there is a benefit to paying for usage because a lot of speakers find themselves in a situation, Michael, where they don't have it's a chicken or the egg, right? They don't have the
Right,
lead
right.
flow, they don't have the business, so they don't invest in the tools, which is gonna help them create the lead flow in the business in the first place, right? So having
Certainly.
something where if you use this much, you pay this much. If you use this much, you pay a little more, right? So I
Yeah,
think that there is a little bit of benefit for some speakers in some situations for paying for usage, but again, with the caveat and with the exception that that is not gonna triple what you you know what I mean? Like there was a case. I used to have this thing called one shopping cart. I used to use any one
oh
shopping
my,
cart,
I
folks
remember
in the
that.
house. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would, we had I was running a business and we had over 200,000 people on an email list and it kind of blew up relatively overnight. And we just started seeing the bills double, triple, quadruple. It was just insane. So that type of, I mean, it's a good problem to have, right, when it comes to list growth. But again, that type of expense is not, what I'm talking about with paying for usage to a degree. I
For
think that.
sure, for sure. And I think I've mentioned a number of these things. I didn't this is kind of the last slide here about that. I didn't mention payment processors, pipelines to follow your leads coming through. There's lots of those different types of softwares for both of those. And just to name a couple of others, right? And so I just kind of went through and added those up a little bit for you, if we're looking at course software. And I just remember all of these aren't their typical prices. These are just sort of mid-range or even low ball, just to kind of keep it in your mind, like, oh, well, maybe I could get a deal on this one. Well, you could. And you'd end up at still 976 a month. Like it adds up really, really quick.
Now,
And
to a lot of people, that's, you can take care of the year, right, with the one decent speaking gig, right? So you try
right.
to, justify it with that, or you might say, well, I don't need calendars, but I can kind of do it the old-fashioned way. Let me tell you something about event industry professionals who hire corporate speakers these days. They are
Right.
not doing things the old-fashioned way. Number
No.
one, they are very often in the younger demographic and expect a sort of tech interaction, right? So they expect calendar links. They expect, again, these sorts of, online payment options. Yes, for corporate clients, online invoicing, all of those different things. We didn't even talk invoicing, did you?
Oh
Document,
no, yeah. I mean, that's
document,
just
Adobe
documents,
Sign.
sending documents, invoicing, getting signatures. Oh
Yeah.
my
Running a
gosh.
business, in other words, like running an actual business. Like,
Imagine
look,
that.
Geppetto, I'm a real boy. And so, yeah, it can certainly add up. I would be curious if anybody's sort of already experiencing something like this, where they got a whole bunch of different tools, Frankenstein together. Have you ever sat down and just looked at how much is going out on a monthly basis in tech? Let's also add in things like Talkadot, which is a speaker specific sort of
Right.
tool that can, kind of go into the mix as well. And yeah, happy to hear in the chat if anybody has any either tools that they recommend, or just sort of thoughts, feedback in terms, have you ever done that? Have you ever sat down and looked at the damage on a monthly basis? All right.
It's crazy.
Well,
And I guess one I should add to this list is nowadays you got to have it social media management. Just being able to manage your social media on a platform where you can upload your posts, schedule them out, maybe create even crazy things like recurring posts and do things like that. Having a dedicated software for that is getting more and more important if you're a business owner, because you've got to post. Like, you can't not post, you can't not be present, and you cannot not be visible. And
I am
so
so glad. I'm so glad you bring that up. Again, speaking of the changes in the speaking environment, we mentioned shrinking lead times, people hiring you for 3 weeks from now, right? That's a new thing. You probably have all noticed. Any working speakers out there notice that lead times are shrinking, but also how they find us. We used to hear a lot about word of mouth. All the surveys, all the data says if they see you speaking or know somebody who's seen you speaking, you get the incoming inquiry. That is how a huge percentage of speeches are booked. Still to this day, that is still tops on the list. But here's the one that's creeping up the bottom and rapidly accelerating: how they found you, why they hired you over any and all other speakers available to them in the marketplace. They hired you because they follow you on social media, right? You are an influencer. You're a creator. Listen, we're not just speakers. We're champions of ideas. We're sharers of story. And how can we do that beyond the stage in ways that get us onto the stage and get us our fees? Well, hey, that's content marketing, right? And if you've ever been to like the Next Stage Speaking Summit, or you talk to any of the, of the process of what it takes to be a content marketer on social media, LinkedIn is a pretty good social media platform to be on. But even Instagram, again, the demographic of people who are hiring speakers, the demographic of the decision makers is trending towards those people on Instagram and TikTok. Does it mean you have to dance on TikTok? Does it mean no? But you need a social media strategy, and again, consistency is the name of the game. How can you be consistent? Tools, automations, assistance, right? Help, all of that. And if you don't have a team like an Alex Hermosi or a Gary Vee who pay $800,000 a month for social media marketing, then if you're just a mere mortal, then having these tools are super helpful. So yeah, you bring up an awesome point that directly relates to booking gigs or not booking gigs.
It's a big deal. As I told you earlier, we moved and invested in this software because it had all of this. And so, for those of you that already have Choreo Suite, it's a business management software. You can build, store, manage, market all of your stuff in one place. And I'll just kind of stop there for a second. Just want to show you a little bit inside. It's a great piece of software. All of our
While you're
companies.
doing this, Michael, this is something that we did a ton of research in terms of just running my own business. I had worked with a coach, and they were saying, hey, look, you're really going to upgrade the tech stack. You're running into brick wall after brick wall. It's embarrassing. Check into this, check into that. And we looked into all these different options, and ended up, we connecting with Michael and Lexi over there at Choreo Suite. And here's what happened next. We were like, this tool can do a lot of things. What if we just customize this specifically for speakers, right? So very similar. If anybody's familiar with Speaker Flow, this is very, very similar in that process of taking something that is maybe big, maybe scary, maybe complex in terms of a lot of different things that work well together. It absolutely removes complexity, of course, but and then making that for speakers specifically, and that's been a big part of our year, is been crafting something that checks all the boxes and does so for speakers specifically. Sorry to interrupt, Michael.
No, not at all. That's been part of the fun, right? Is that this piece of the puzzle is necessary. Most of you just want to be experts at what you're experts at. There is going to be a learning curve in every piece of software that you get. My thought is, might as well get one. If I'm going to have a learning curve on it, I might as well get one that can do everything I need it to do. And I have, just to give you an example, yes, we're talking about it from a speaker's perspective right now, but I have clients that are whole cities. I have a city in California that uses our software. I have a university that uses our software. I have a nonprofit organization that moved to our software because they needed it and its functionality and its ability to grow with them, where they have teachers from 20 different countries and they have support people all over the world, right? So like this will grow with you. But I also have a ton of solopreneurs that are doing it all on their own and staying lean and mean on purpose. Somebody asked me, well, is your intention to, grow and be a corporate entity? And I said, no, we want to stay lean and mean because we can. We don't have to do it the old-fashioned way. We don't have to go corporate now. We can stay lean and mean. We can keep our team smaller and more personalized. Now, just like with anything, and I don't know, for those of you that aren't techie, you may not realize that tech is built on tech. And there's two sides of the world, right? There's the tech people that are building open source software that you can take, and other programmers can use that open source to build their thing. And there are lots of software out there. Now, what we've done is we've built our software. We've built Choreo Suite on some really cool engines like High Level. So we use High Level's engine in the background, but it's not just them. It's what we've built on top of it that's actually the powerful thing. We, inside that engine, we've also used their Google storage capability. So if you've ever used Google Workspace, we have Google Workspace essentially inside of the software. And this alone will blow your mind. Most of you, if you want extra storage in Google software or Google Workspace, you have to pay for that. Inside Choreo Suite, we give you unlimited storage. Just stop and think about that for just a second. You get unlimited storage. You can put all your media. You can put all of your whatever you want, PDFs, anything in it. Unlimited storage.
Video content as a
Yeah,
speaker, having
absolutely.
all your speeches, place to store them. Wow. So, and we work a ton with a video editing team, and
Oh yeah,
that's
it's huge. I mean, we moved all our stuff from Vimeo into our own platform where we didn't have those fees anymore. And I mean, that's thousands of dollars just in the storage necessity, and it all connects directly. So now if you're storing a video inside Choreo Suite and you want to attach it to your website, you just click a button, grab it from the library and put it in, and now it's hosted right there.
Yeah, a lot of people say YouTube, but the moment your YouTube video ends, an ad for another speaker pops up, or
yeah, that's right. That's the worst.
So cool. And then of course the work that we've been doing together, Michael, is kind of baking into Choreo Suite the Get Speaking Gigs version. So, creating focus and clarity surrounding the tools in order to do the job of getting speaking gigs. So that's kind of the name of the game. I know you wanted to pop in and show people around a little bit, so I want to kind of get out of your way and let you.
Sure, let me show you inside. I'm just jumping in here straight into the CRM. As you can see over here on the left-hand side, all of our menu items. Again, this isn't to overwhelm you, although it will. Each of these tabs on the left-hand side kind of represent a whole software in many cases, and sometimes multiples. This is our CRM. If I were to jump into a CRM contact here, everything I need to know about this CRM, everything, how I've tagged it, what courses they have, what additional info I've collected from them, what conversations have been had with them, whether it's an SMS conversation, email, you can even add things like WhatsApp if you wanted. There are tasks and notes that you can have internally. Tasks are for your team, notes are for you to know what you talk to them about on the phone. You can see your appointments and calendar stuff. You can see all of your documents and anything that's been needing signing, or invoices that you sent out. You can send out payment links, which also means we have a payment processor built in. We have multiple payment processors, so you can find the one of your liking. And we even have ways to associate your clients with other clients, which is kind of nice in case you have like a parent and a child kind of a relationship. So there's lots of things, everything you need to know. Our CRM is pretty cool, and it continues to grow in functionality on a regular basis. I could stay here for hours in any one of these.
I had a request as well to zoom in a little bit, if possible, on the screen.
Sure. Let me see if
saying if you're on a Mac, Command plus.
There we go. Maybe that'll help. Did that get any bigger for you guys? Oh, wait a second. My screen just freaked out. Okay. There we go. Is that any better for you guys?
It looks like.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
One more click would be even better.
How's that?
Nice. Thanks.
Awesome. All right. Very good. Thank you for mentioning that. My screen is huge, so I see it huge too. Okay, so lots of cool things here in the CRM. The CRM is very robust, and it's meant to handle very, very large teams. Like I said, I have a whole city that uses this. We have
one of my coaches said of I think it was HubSpot or Hootsuite, or what's the CRM that why am I blanking on the name of the CRM? It starts with an H. Anyway, they said that for speaking, you don't need to buy the Taj Mahal if you're just going to live in the basement. Like sometimes just having a tool that again can grow with you, but needing this particular
Just
piece
a
of it
piece.
and rock and roll with that. So,
Well, that's it. It's nice to know that you could build the Taj Mahal,
mhm.
but just having that one piece and having easy access to it. It's sort of like this with the calendar settings. I can go in, I can create a single calendar, or if I need to, I can create multiple calendars. I can create as many as I want. I can have my team have calendars. I can have round robin calendars. I can have team calendars. I can have team collaboration calendars. Usually, for all of the different types of calendars that we can build and create in here, you would have to pay for the top or highest level of something like Calendly to even get all of the functionality that we've just included. We want
So
you to have everything you need.
yeah, what I do with that is anytime I share my calendar link, maybe on LinkedIn. I make a post and say, hey, if you want to book a call with me, the link is in the comments to book a call. And
For
I'll
sure.
create different calendar links so I can track what is working and what is not working, right?
Right.
So that's huge. Also, when they book me for a discovery call, it's going to be different than if they book me for a prep call or a debrief call, right? So
For sure.
having that in my calendar and knowing as color coded as I like to make them, knowing that what is on my calendar, what am I preparing for at a glance. So having different calendars and unlimited calendars is fine. Even if you don't have a team. I know we've got a team of 10 and we've got, fractional teams that we work with as well and integrating them into our calendars. And, if I can't take the call, someone else will take the call and all of that functionality is available as well.
I love this section. I know I'm bouncing around. Don't worry. In upcoming tech calls, we're going to be digging into lots of these different pieces, talking about how they would work. And then whether you use Choreo Suite or not, you'll have the understanding of like, oh, I need that and I need to have it do this. So even if you were using something else, that's cool. I mean, like we understand we're not the only ones in the world, right? But we believe ours is the best. But that's just because we're biased. But you don't have to believe that. But even on the future tech calls, you can come and you can watch on how we're doing it and go do it on your own thing. And that's cool too.
Yeah, don't let yourselves get lost in the doing and lose the strategy, right?
Right.
So much of what we do and what we will do on these calls is figuring out how to leverage technology, how to strategize and use technology in a way that is going to make your speaking life feel a little better and not a lot worse. So
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people are mentioning, hey, Taya from Slovenia. A few people are mentioning they got to hop in or hop out. We're a little ambiguous in terms of timing of the call. That's on my end when I announced it. But I did pop in the chat a link if you guys want to check out Choreo Suite. I'm happy to pop that in the chat. This is again the Get Speaking Gigs version of Choreo Suite. If that's all right, Michael, I'm going to do that now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, go ahead. And that's a great deal that you've negotiated with us. We're happy to give it to you and your people. Normally, it's $397 a month if you go to our website. So if you'd like to go and pay full price, feel free. I'm totally fine with that. But you're welcome to use Tim's great deal that he negotiated with us, and you can take advantage of that. So you
Yeah,
should.
it essentially same thing I said at the beginning of the call. It's a chicken or the egg problem for a lot of speakers. So if you can lower that bar to entry, get the tools that you need to grow the business, so that the 197 is a drop in the bucket.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love that. On this page, you got your funnels, you got your websites. You can even build e-commerce stores. We're just about at a point where we can almost replace Shopify, which is what we're shooting for by the end of the year. We want to make it so that you could have that kind of functionality in here without having to pay for a whole other system like Shopify and
Yeah,
still have
a
all
lot of
of
my
our features.
clients, we're not doing, merch, although some speakers do merch,
Yeah.
t-shirt,
Yeah.
or anything else that you want to sell. But really, it's something like an online course platform,
Oh yeah,
which is something a little different, but it's in here, right?
for
And
sure.
this is the key. A lot of people ask me, Tim, you're not famous. I had a bureau rep once tell me, Tim, no offense, but you're kind of a nobody. Like, how are you getting six-figure contracts with organizations? Well, it's not just the speech. I'm not getting $100,000 or 120,000 for a speech. I'm getting 120K for a contract. And this is maybe multiple speeches, but it's also course material, right? And
Right.
anybody who's ever dabbled in online courses, just an extension of speaking in many ways. and it creates this ongoing passive sort of thing. So you can maybe wake up to a deposit in your bank account that'll make your month, right?
For sure.
So those types of features and functionalities beyond a Shopify type thing is more like a Kajabi type thing, which
Right.
another sort of tool.
Well, and all of those things we mentioned earlier, I mean, like I said, I could stay here for hours, but all those things we mentioned earlier, they're all in here. They're all in here. Forms, surveys, you can build a whole client community. Yes, a community. Think Facebook group, except for you own it and Zuckerberg can't shut you down, which is awesome. And actually, it will show your posts to the people that join your group, which is also a weird phenomenon. Like, oh, I have a Facebook group and I post, but nobody sees my posts. It's amazing. We have this cool QR code generator. It's dynamic. So if you happen to change the link, you can still keep using the QR codes that you printed on thousands of business cards, which is annoying if you use other QR code generators. There's quizzes, surveys, forms, they're all standalone. So even if, let's say you built your website on WordPress and you love your WordPress website, cool. I like ours better now, but if you like your WordPress website, you can still take and use the forms, surveys, quizzes, and actually integrate them into your WordPress website. So that way you can use the CRM here and use all the automations here. And that allows you to do so. I do have a lot of people that do use WordPress websites, and for that's cool if that's how you want to roll. But I love our website builder. Our website builder and our funnel builder are identical, and they are top notch. They are high class, and you won't find anything that's really easier to use, and it's user friendly. It will take a little bit of time to learn how to use it, but once you do, it's user friendly. That being said,
One of the things that blew my mind, Michael, when we started way back when working together, was in the span of 1, maybe 2 days, you had taken my website that I had meticulously crafted, and I hired designers and programmers just in Squarespace, right? I was using Squarespace.
Yeah.
And just took it, and within 1 or 2 days, it was up on Choreo Suite,
Yeah.
identical, right, to my website. No discernible, distinguishable difference. And it's, again, I know you have some experience with the tool, with the process. It might take somebody, 4 days to make their website if they're starting out from scratch.
Right.
But, you get the idea. But in of course, in the Get Speaking Gigs version, we include speaker website templates to be able to just take
give them a head start.
get you a head start for sure.
And that's the cool thing I think about our collaboration with Get Speaking Gigs is that you won't be coming with a blank slate. So if you did decide to use Choreo Suite, you'll come in and you'll have so many of the things that we've built with Get Speaking Gigs already in your account, already ready for you to use and start using. In fact, that's why Tim's team uses it, is because they get a head start and they can already work on doing those things and working on moving instead of working on building. And so that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, and when we work with a client, if we're going to be taking them through our full accelerator program, where we do a lot of the building of a speaking business for them, if they don't have Choreo, we buy it for them. We say we're not gonna do it without it. It's just stupid to do it without it. So
Right.
if they say, oh no, I have HubSpot, I have this, I have like, cool, we're gonna use it. We're gonna create an account for you, and we're gonna use it for you and build you out. So and then many times, of course, they end up realizing, why continue with all the other stuff.
I've realized I've certainly bit off more than I can chew, and I know there's only 7 minutes to the top of the hour. I just want to answer any questions if you guys want to jump on, and I can answer any questions about this. Like I said, I could stay here for hours, and in coming tech calls that we have, we're going to be digging into different pieces of this and showing you how we would do it inside ours. And for those of you that are using it, cool. If not, then you'll at least see how to do it strategically. So again, while yes, you can get Choreo Suite, I don't care if you do or you don't. It doesn't really make a difference. But what I do care about is, hey, I want to use a calendar and I'm using this system. What would you do? And I would show you how I was doing it here so you can see how you would do it. I really just care that you're succeeding. If you use our software, cool. If you don't, I won't be offended, and it really doesn't matter to me. So come join us if you'd like. If you don't, cool. We'll still show you the strategy. That's why we're here. That's why we're part of this. And maybe you'll come join us inside Choreo Suite. But if you guys have some questions, you can jump on, raise your hand, ask a question. I can show you something. We'll stop at the top of the hour, but just know that in the coming days we're going to be digging into each of the pieces and parts and talking about how to use some of these things. And so you guys can see, oh yeah, that's really cool. I would like to do that. Or I'm using this other software. How are you doing it here? I'll show you how I'm doing it here. And you can either go do it there or you can come join us. Whatever you'd like. So anybody raising their hand there?
You know, I don't actually, instead of questions, what I'd like to do, I just want to take a moment and thank you, Michael, for
Sure.
you know, kind of unpacking some of this, you know, mystery surrounding a lot of tech. What do we need? What do we not need? That's definitely the
Right.
goal for today. And, you know, in some of these future calls, and I do have to hop, we have a Speaking Leads for Life session. Those of you who are members, I see a couple familiar faces. We'll be starting our call on time for sure in about 5 minutes here. So I'm going to be hopping in just a moment to get off and get in there. But I did pop a link in the chat if people want to take a peek, at least of what's included beyond our conversation today. And TJ says, great timing. Been thinking about this a lot lately. And, you know, happy to hear that. Hopefully it's helpful. In the future, we're going to be doing a lot more live calls, right? We're doing a lot more for certainly our community. And we have a pretty full weekly calendar and weekly schedule of calls that we do for our community. But today we opened it up to the Get Speaking Gigs community as a whole, at large. And there are going to be some times, Michael, where it makes sense to do a Speaker Tech Tuesday as a focused group and get really deep into the nitty gritty. There are going to be times it's going to make sense to open up the door. Today was one of those times. And, you know, we'll see what the future brings for sure. And in terms of maybe following up or questions, Michael, because we do have to wrap, is there something that I don't want to, would it be possible to make yourself available in some way, shape, form, or capacity in terms of getting a question answered? I don't want to put you on the spot here, but is there a, you know, an Instagram account or something like that that you, something that you can maybe share? Even if they just go to the website that I just put in there, is there a help link? How can they get their questions answered?
You know what? Let me just we're pretty, like I said, we're lean and mean, and we intend to keep it that way. So we're a pretty tight knit group, and when you come and join the Choreo Suite family, you'll know that. Anybody that's with us knows that. You can get a hold of us. We're not out of reach. We're not out of touch. We're not those people. We love helping you. We love being in helping you impact the world. So I'll put my email address, and if you need help, just email me. It's not, it won't be putting me out of anything. So it's info@bizchoreo.com. Just send me an email if you have questions. If you want to ask me anything about Choreo Suite, send it my way. Happy to help. We're happy to see you along your way and along your journey. We're an open book.
Love it. Cool, cool. Well, I do see 22 of you have stuck it out with us for the full hour. I see.
Way to go.
And of course, the Get Speaking Gigs note taker, which means the recording of this will be available for review. I'll send it out to the list as usual. I see Jerry and Joe and Joseph and Labib and Mark and Marjorie and Michael and many more hanging out with us, and including Tina, who just hopped in as well. Happy to share those links with you in the chat there. All right, we're going to hop over to the next call for the day. A lot of people say it's Taco Tuesday. Nope, it's Tim David Tuesday. I do a bunch of these calls on Tuesdays. So I'm going to hop over to our Speaking Leads for Life group, and we'll catch everyone in the email box. Take a peek, and that's when we'll keep you all updated on what's going on in the world against speaking.
See you guys next time.
Speak soon, everyone. Take care.